Episode 2, Across the Border, a message of love, defense, and humanity. In the silence of the night, all that remained was smoke, ash, and a haunting stillness. The village walls, which once echoed with laughter, now only resounded with the echoes of explosions. Yasir, who until yesterday was just an ordinary village boy, had become a witness to a changing time. The soil of his village, once fragrant with peace, was now soaked in blood and gunpowder. His feet wandered through the ruins, searching for one thing, a living soul, a sign of hope. In one such desolate corner, he heard a faint sound, like a wounded cry. It was weak, but it pierced through his heart and reached him. He rushed through the bushes, and suddenly the sight before his eyes put his heart to a new test. A girl, young, wounded, frightened, sat on the ground. Her scarf was half burnt, her feet scratched, and her face covered in dust, but her eyes held a light brighter than any soldier's bravery. Yasir bent down and gently asked, "Who are you?" The girl recoiled in fear and winced in pain. She barely managed to say, "My name is Zoya. I'm from the other side." Yasir was stunned. The other side, the enemy's land. He fell silent for a moment, but when he saw her wounds, he didn't think twice and offered his shoulder. "Come, you can't stay here alone." He brought her to the back of his humble home, where his elderly grandmother, John, sat with an oil lamp. Yasir looked at her and softly said, "Grandma, she's injured. She's human." The old woman looked at Zoya through her cloudy eyes and without asking anything, gave her water and a shawl. Because wounds don't speak the language of religion or nationality, they only speak the language of pain. In the following days, Zoya slowly began to recover. But the fear within her didn't fade. One day, Yasir asked, "You told me your name, but how did you end up here?" Zoya lowered her eyes and said, "I'm a field nurse. Our ambulance got too close to the border during the war. We were attacked. I ran, and then everything became a blur." Yasir fell silent. The war had not only broken bones, but hearts too. A few days later, when Zoya was able to walk again, Yasir took her to the nearby fields. There was a small pond where he used to sit and talk with his friend Nabil. Nabil was my friend, my childhood companion. We never imagined war would separate us. Now, only I remain, and he lives in my memories. Zoya gently held Yasir's hand. "I understand. War has taken my people too." In that moment, a question born in Yasir's heart. If our pain is the same, how can we be enemies? But that feeling intensified when some villagers found out about Zoya. Their anger, hatred, and sorrow awakened at once. "She's the enemy. What is she doing on our land?" one man shouted angrily. Yasir stood in the middle of the crowd. His tone carried no anger, only truth. If she is the enemy, then what are we? Have we become the very people we're fighting against? Is this the same village where people used to speak with kindness, not cruelty? We are people who believe in love, who value humanity above all. For God's sake, let us remain who we truly are. Yasir's emotional speech struck the crowd like lightning. There was a moment of silence. Then an elder softly said, "Son, you are right. Humanity will free us from our enmity." A few days later, another enemy attack was expected. Zoya had information that could save everyone. The enemy's possible route and target. Yasir looked at her. "If you reveal this, your country might call you a traitor." Zoya replied, "I am loyal not to a country, but to humanity." That sentence was etched into Yasir's heart. He immediately gathered the villagers and alerted everyone. Thanks to Zoya's information, the attack was prevented. When the attack failed, the entire village was in disbelief. An enemy girl saved our lives? Yasir stood before them and declared, "Borders can divide land, not hearts. If a girl like Zoya can crush hatred beneath her feet, then when will we become truly human and continue this path of compassion. The whole village clapped. That day, hatred lost and humanity won. At the end of the story, Yasir and Zoya sat under a tree. Yasir asked, "When will you go back?" Zoya looked up at the sky and said, "When the borders disappear and only hearts remain." Yasir nodded. He knew that Zoya's journey hadn't ended. It had just begun toward peace.